it's crazy. It's it's February 11th, which is crazy. So this is our Thursday night Bible study. And for those of you that live in the neighborhood, we still do a Sunday morning outdoor Bible study. Bring your own coffee. Hopefully soon we'll be able to like serve coffee and donuts. Scott makes great coffee, right?
And we love the donuts.
And we love the donuts, right? It's probably good for my waistline right now that we can't serve donuts. So that's probably a good thing. But even in the COVID time, you know, churches are allowed to operate, especially outdoors. So Sunday morning is a real informal gathering, kind of casual, where we get together and talk. We do a little bit of Bible study, just fellowship and discussion. Maybe we discuss contemporary topics. Maybe we're, you know, something left over from Bible study. And Scott and I are usually out there. Probably we go back and forth just like we do on Thursdays. But typically Scott teaches Thursday nights and then I teach on Sunday mornings. So you're always welcome to come 10 to 12, just right outside front. It's usually beautiful weather and everything. So anyone's welcome to come and join us. And it's sort of it's a good time just to be together. And even though we have masks on, you get to be with people for real and not Zoom. So, you know.
Yeah, what a concept.
Yeah. As usual, in the middle of Bible study, if you have any questions, if you want to make a comment, I don't know how we raise hands on Zoom, but you can just jump in there and say something, or you can message Barb. You know, you can text Barb and say, hey, I got a question or comment. That's fine. And then she'll let us know, or you can just blurt it out and say it. So that's totally welcome. If you want to do it afterwards, that's fine too. You know, if you're more comfortable, like we'll kind of say, hey, good night, we're signing off, but we'll leave the lobby open and Scott and I will be here for a little bit in case people have questions. And then of course, if there's anything that comes up that you want to know more about, we can talk about it during the week. We can do Zoom, or we can do in person, or we can pursue any more, answer questions, whatever. I mean, we're pretty flexible in terms of, Scott is a lazy retired guy. So, you know, he doesn't do much, you know, so no, but, you know, that's what we want to do in case you're interested in doing a personal one-on-one Bible study, or you have any questions about any of what we're presenting. So we'd love the opportunity to do that. It's not a bother. It would be great. And every question is welcome. There's no stupid questions. There's no faithless questions. There's no nothing. It's like, how dare you ask that question? I mean, that's what we're getting after it together. So we'd love to hear those. Yeah. And we won't be offended by anything, you know, so we'll get it out there.
Yeah. There's no question you could ask that would be offensive in any way about anything. Yeah. So like Jack said, so ask him. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and let's rock and roll.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
So,
okay. So if you got your Bible, and I hope you do, you're going to be bored if you don't have a Bible.
All right. And you got to talk to me now. So,
okay. Yeah,
oh no. Wow. Sorry. I already broke the microphone. Sorry.
Turn. There's two. What I'm going to do at the beginning, and let me even back up. The month of February, we're going to this Jesus-centered Bible, and in the back of it, they have kind of a month by month themes, and then there's a lot of different scriptures through the back of it. And so the month of February is the mighty acts of God, the mighty acts of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And we're going through primarily Matthew and Luke, and it's a pretty straight up Bible study. I'm just going through, picking out situations that Jesus was in, or that he created, or miracles or things. So we can just look at the things that Jesus did. It's pretty straight up. Shouldn't be anything deep in any of this. You're welcome to give your comments. And I'm speaking to the peanut gallery here. Because some of you may know more about some of this stuff than I do, or you may have a different view on it. And this is the kind of time when I'm sharing stuff, and we're all in this together. So I hate this to be just a straight performance on my part.
Right.
Now there's Amelia. So feel free to say, you know, how about this, or you consider this or something. Yeah. And, you know, we'll try to, you know, we'd love to hear it, because I'm always learning. We're always learning in the scriptures. No one has got the final answer on any of this stuff. Well, maybe I do.
Except me on Sunday morning, if you come on Sunday morning. Then we're going to go back to, you know, just so you don't think we're ignoring you, but we're going to try not to like just stare right at the camera. Yeah. So we're going to try to be in discussion mode, Bible study mode, as if we were just sitting in a room, as if we are sitting in a room talking to one another. So.
Oops, hold on. Oh, I'm not muted. Okay. Hi, everybody. I was like, let me unmute.
Hey.
Hey. Glad you're here. We're just starting.
To see you.
We're just starting right now.
Oh, perfect.
So if you got your Bible, okay. There's two places I want you to put your fingers. Turn to Luke 15. actually, it's actually the story of the prodigal son. It's Luke 15, verse 11. And put your finger there, and then go to Luke chapter 8, verse 26. And I'm going to...
So Luke 15 and Luke 8.
Yeah.
Scott,
Okay.
nobody has Bibles anymore. We all use the internet, so we can't put our finger in anything.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So, we have to have two iPhones,
Yeah.
one tablet and one iPhone to look at two different parts of the Bible. So,
Okay. So there is I'm going to present something. This is almost like a little rabbit trail, but it's wonderful. And it's combining two scriptures, two situations that might actually be one situation. And this was proposed by a guy named Clarence Jordan. I can't, however you say his name. He was he has his doctorate in Greek, and he was a New Testament scholar. And well, anyway, he's the one who came up with this. And so I think it's brilliant, and it very well might be true. So I'm going to present this to you, and you can do with it what you want, but it's a wonderful thing. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Luke chapter 15, and I'll have Jack read. Starting at verse 11, many of you are, no, let me talk to Jack, not you.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Many people, most of us are very familiar with the story of the prodigal son. And if not, you're going to hear it right now. So Jack is going to read Luke 15, verse 11, actually through 24, not the whole thing, just through.
Okay, just to 24.
Yeah.
Okay. So Luke 15, 11 to 24.
Yeah.
And Barbara, you might put on the stream too, like a link to Clarence Jordan, like the cotton patch and his story.
Got it.
That'd be helpful. Okay, that'd be great.
Got it.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call from Scam Likely. So, maybe I should answer that. It's ridiculous. So, okay. So this is Luke 15, 11 to 24. To illustrate the point further, Jesus told them this story. A man had two sons. The younger son told his father, "I want my share of your estate now, before you die." So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land. And there he wasted all his money in wild living. About the same time, his money ran out. A great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself...
Stop right there. Okay?
Okay.
Well, my version says, but when he came to himself, okay? Now, stop right there. Go to Luke chapter 8.
Okay.
Luke chapter 8. Oh, my gosh. Luke 8:26.
Okay.
And read that whole account.
Okay.
And you'll figure out where I'm going with this.
So they arrived in the region of the Gerasenes, across the lake from Galilee. As Jesus was climbing out of the boat, a man who was possessed by demons came out to meet him. For a long time he had been homeless and naked, living in the tombs outside the town. As soon as he saw Jesus, he shrieked and fell down in front of him. Then he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Please, I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had already commanded the evil spirit to come out of him. This spirit had often taken control of the man. Even when he was placed under guard and put in chains and shackles, he simply broke them and rushed out into the wilderness completely under the demon's power. Jesus demanded, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, for he was filled with many demons. The demons kept begging Jesus not to send them into the bottomless pit. There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby, and the demons begged him to let them go into the pigs. So Jesus gave them permission. Then the demons came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the entire herd plunged down the steep hillside and into the lake and drowned.
Now pay attention to the rest of this.
When the herdsmen saw it, they fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what had happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been freed from the demons. He was sitting at Jesus' feet, fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. Then those who had seen what happened told the others how the demon-possessed man had been healed. And all the people in the region of the Gerasenes begged Jesus to go away and leave them alone, for a great wave of fear swept over them. So Jesus returned to the boat and left, crossing back to the other side of the lake. The man who had been freed from the demons begged him to go with him, but Jesus sent him home, saying, "No, go back to your family and tell them everything God has done for you." So he went through all the town, proclaiming the great things Jesus had done for him.
All right. Now, go back to Luke 15 and continue where you were reading. Jack started verse 17.
When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare. And here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant.' So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son.' But his father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Kill the calf that we have been fattening. Get a ring for his finger and a sandal for his feet. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found.' So the party began."
Okay. Let me stop there.
Okay.
So do you see what I was doing there? Clarence Jordan makes the case that there's only two places in the New Testament where pigs are mentioned, and these are the two places where the young man is possessed by demons, and he's in the tombs. Well, he's out of his mind, and Jesus, the demons say, "Cast us into this herd of pigs that are right near with us." Okay, and then in this situation where the young man is wanting to eat the food, okay, he thinks it's the same story. But what Clarence Jordan thinks is that Jesus has healed this young man, okay, and that's where we pick up the story. Once he is healed, then he tells Jesus about how he came to be in this situation. Okay, about, he was at home, he had all this great life, he squandered all this money, he ended up living with pigs, and for a Jew to be wanting to be around to herd pigs, to wanting to eat their food would be such a, that would drive someone literally out of their mind. Such guilt, such what would it be like if something would be like if I told everyone here in the room, listen, do you have any pet dogs or cats? We're going to eat those tomorrow night. We're going to start eating our pets. Yeah. You couldn't wrap your brain around that. It would be so foreign, so horrible, so detestable. And that's, for a Jew to be out wanting to eat pig's food, and 10 pigs is just, and so Jordan thinks, and that has caused this young man to literally go out of his mind. And so then Jesus comes across the lake, he sees him, he heals him, and that's when he comes to his right senses, which we read in, that is the point when in the story of the prodigal son, it says when he came to himself.
Yeah.
And Jordan says right there is where that story ties in. That's when Jesus had healed him. And so, because Jesus, what does Jesus tell the young man?
Go home.
Go home
Yeah.
and go home to your family, go home to your family and tell them all the great things. Okay. And so he does. And then later on, there's a good chance that Jesus encounters this young man later on and says, "Hey, how did it go?" or whatever. And the young man finishes the story and tells him, "Well, I was going home. I got close to my home and I saw my dad and he ran out." And then, so Jesus hears the rest of the story. So that is, it's delightful to think that may be tied in.
Yeah.
Because the two stories fit perfectly together, and it's the only two places where that pigs are in the scene.
Yeah, featured.
And there's something else I have to say about it.
just the using the imagination that it could be.
Exactly.
And it doesn't, in one sense, have to be to change the importance of the story of those two interactions, but how the different gospels interconnect.
Exactly, and how the stories may play into each other.
Yeah.
And the thing is Jesus could have heard. See, Jesus is telling a story. On one of them, he's just telling the story of the prodigal son.
Right.
And some people think that's just he made it up.
Right.
But it could be that this is a story that there's some substance to it, some reality because of this thing happening. And so anyway,
it's a parable made from something that actually, a real encounter.
Yeah,
or something
exactly.
Like
so I just thought I'd throw that out. Just it's
interesting.
It's just wonderful what he did with that. And I'm going, hey, it made sense. Possibly makes sense. So anyway, so enough of that. So tonight we're going to be in back to Matthew.
Do you need that? It's just a place mark. It's just a little.
Oh no, I
think it's just a place mark. So back to Matthew.
We're going to be in Matthew chapter 9. If I can find my pages. Here we go. We're going to be bouncing around. We're going to be in chapter 9, and then we're going to be back into 12. Okay, so last week we ended, I believe, the story of the synagogue ruler. Didn't we cover that last week? Yeah, the synagogue ruler. Because I remember is Abigail here tonight? She's not, is she?
No, she's not.
Okay. Last week, Abigail had asked me, did they really pay people to mourn at funerals, Yeah. And I said, well, that's your assignment. Go look it up.
Yeah.
And well, she's not here tonight. So, but that's what I understand. They actually did pay people to be mourners at funerals. So, okay. So now we're going to start in Matthew chapter 9, Matthew 9:27. Okay. And okay. I'll read this. Okay. There's a couple of things that are interesting about this passage, and it actually put your finger also in Mark chapter 10. In Mark chapter 10, I won't do this again. This is only two times. This is the only time I'm going to have you do two scriptures. But I want you to see something very interesting about this account.
Scott, don't lie in Bible study. So we're going to hold you to that.
Okay. So Matthew chapter 9:27. This is the two blind men. Okay. So as Jesus passed on from there, he's already healed the young, brought back to life, I should say, the ruler's daughter. Mm-hmm. So as Jesus passed on from there, two blind men followed him, crying aloud, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." When he entered the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" And they said to him, "Yes, Lord." Then he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, be it done to you." And their eyes were opened. And Jesus sternly charged them, "See that no one knows it." But they went away and spread his fame through all that district. So much for listening to Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
he just healed you, and then you disregard the first thing he says.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you think about, you're blind, somebody heals you, and they give you one thing, and you just totally disregard it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. One thing that's striking, the first thing is these blind guys are calling him, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." That is the title that is the Jews understand as being the Messiah, the one that's supposed to come and save the nation. And so they are calling him son of David. In any other place, when Jesus, at this point in his ministry, at the early on and through the beginning, when the demons say, "We know who you are, Son of David," he says, "Shut up, be still." He is not going to let the demons expose who he is, because the people will have the wrong idea of who the quote Messiah is supposed to be. And they know that, these demons are tricky enough to know, let's get it out. He's the Son of David, Son of David, Son of, everybody, woohoo, Son of David right here, Son of David, Messiah, make him king, and Jesus is going, "I'm not that kind of a king." Remember, this is not what you're expecting is a military political ruler, king, and I'm not going to be that.
Even the truth can be misleading, and given by the wrong context or the wrong person. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. And so these guys are saying same thing. Have mercy on us, Son of David. Notice, well, first of all, how do they come up with that? It's incredible. They're like the centurion and the leper. I mean, first of all, these guys are blind, So they've never seen any miracles. I mean, literally, they've never seen any miracles.
Yeah.
All they've been able to do is hear people tell about things happening.
Right.
And so for them, it's even it's kind of like the centurion. I don't think he saw too many miracles, but he hears, and
Yeah.
so he puts things together.
Yeah.
So these two guys have put this together, and they're calling him.
Hmm.
We know who you are. You're the Messiah. You're the one we've been expecting. And notice that Jesus doesn't respond to them. This is really important. Jesus does not respond to them until what? And he entered the house. The blind men came to him. So he's walking outside. They're saying, Son of David, Son of David. He is not responding to that title. It doesn't respond to them until he gets into the house where it's private. And then he says to them, then he responds. Okay?
Yeah.
And then he says an odd question. He says, do you believe that I am able to do this? Well, think about that. That's an odd. Well, of course they believe he's able to do it. That's why they came to him. That's why they're yelling, Son of David, have mercy on us. So why would he ask that question? Do you believe that I'm able to do this?
Hmm.
And, some people think, some scholars, I think I agree with them, is they have a misconception of the Messiah. One of the things the Messiah is going to do is what? Remember the blind? The blind will see, the lame will walk. Remember, that's a key thing.
Release of the captives.
The release of the captives.
But these two specific things were given. Yeah,
Exactly.
blinding, see.
That's a key, right? And so they're thinking if he heals us, then that doubles. They double down on their thinking. Well, yeah, this is the Messiah, and this is our understanding. And so Jesus is really saying to them, no, do you believe that I can do? I, who you see now, not the Messiah, who you think that I am some person. This is me, Jesus, in this house. Do you believe that I can do this?
Right.
And focusing away from that concept of a messianic title and more on me. Okay, as you soon will see me.
Yeah.
And then they say, yes, Lord, and then he heals them. Another thing I want to say, in case people don't know this, is in this case, Jesus says, according to your faith, be it done to you. All right. He ties their faith in with this miracle. It's interesting that he really wants to say that. Again, getting away from the messianic, it's not through the power of, through my power. No, he's really saying to them, through your faith. He's really trying to take the what's the word? The focus off of his title.
The emphasis off his title.
Yeah. I want to remind everyone, if you're listening in, that being healed by Jesus faith was not required in all situations. That's, some people think you got to, if you don't have faith, you don't get healed. And we know from the scriptures, there are many places where Jesus healed people who didn't have faith, but he healed them anyway.
Yeah.
So, like dead people coming back to life.
Yeah.
Like,
right. They didn't ask him. I mean, and they don't even have to ask. I think it just shows that he treated every individual person as unique.
Yeah.
And that we can't have one prescription or one script or one thing that it's these 4 things or this, because that would do it totally different than what Jesus did.
Exactly.
Because he treated every person with the dignity of themselves.
Yes.
And
you can't, and here's the thing, when because we are such creatures of, we want things in order. We want things orderly and neat and tied in.
Yeah.
And so we want to find a prescription, a certain way. Well, this is how Jesus does it.
Yeah.
You're right, Jack. It's all over the place. You can't pin him down.
Yeah. Different in every way.
Every way. All the time it's different. He heals this guy, which produces faith. This guy, he heals because of his faith. Right. This guy, he heals the guy who had no faith.
Right.
Never did have faith.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place. So just be very careful that we don't tie that in. Yeah. Because there's been a whole lot of people whose faith has been ruined, their Christian faith, because they thought it's done it's cruelty to tell that to people. Yeah. They used to have these, they don't know if they have them anymore, these crusades. I don't know, maybe they still have them in Myanmar, where the faith healer comes to town, right? Yeah. Goes to the tent, pack up the babies and grab the old ladies, and everyone goes to Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show, and so everyone shows up, and all the people in wheelchairs are wheeled in, and then that idiot on the stage is saying, if you have faith, God will heal you, if you have faith.
Yeah.
And then after the show's over, all those people are wheeled out.
Yeah.
And they all think, I don't have faith.
Right.
It's my fault that I'm not healed. What a horrible, terrible thing to put that on people.
Because, or the false hope that you dangle in front of somebody. Like, if you have enough faith, if you're good enough to Jesus, you're going to be healed, or your child is going to be healed or something. It's like, it doesn't work that way. And then all you're going to do is just really have a disheartened or an angry or disappointed person, or a person that criticizes themselves, as if the reason that person is in, let's say you have a sick child or something like that. Well, then what? Because you don't have enough faith, they're not healed. Well, that's just not how it works,
Exactly.
And then you give people a wrong impression of how God is, that he's just punishing capriciously, or he's ignoring you or ignoring that, and just not the testimony of the scripture. And it's just to say, it just doesn't work that way, and you can't narrow it down to that particular box.
Exactly. And so that's just
and there's no hope in that for people, too. It's just,
how would that be? You're in a wheelchair, and the guy on the stage, I mean, this is the faith healer, and he says, if you have faith, and he quotes some of these passages where Jesus, it says, your faith has made you well. This one in particular, and they throw that at people, and so the people in the wheelchair, they don't have, they go home in a wheelchair, and so they say, well, I'm hopelessly lost, and so they give up on God and bitter, like you said. Anyway, so now notice, remember I had you put your finger in Mark chapter 14, is it 14? 10, 14, okay.
I think you said 10.
Yep. Okay. Notice 10:46, Mark 10, verse 46. All right. Here's another situation where someone is blind and Jesus is passing by. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just real interesting. Remember, with those two guys, they're saying, Son of David, have mercy on us. He does not answer them until they're in a house.
Private, yeah.
Okay. Now, in this situation, he's about ready to go to Jerusalem. His ministry, his time of his time is at hand. He's going to Jerusalem to meet his fate and to finally, this is who I am. Okay. And they came to Jericho. And as he was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, the son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he cried out and say, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And many rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stopped and said, call him. And they called the blind man, saying to him, take heart, rise, he's calling you. And throwing off his mantle, he sprang up and came to Jesus. And Jesus said to him, what do you want me to do for you? And the blind man said to him, Master, let me receive my sight. And Jesus said to him, go your way, your faith has made you well. And immediately he received his sight and followed him on the way. Okay, wait a minute here. This is odd. Jesus has healed lots of blind people through this ministry. We know that. The story of the two blind beggars in Matthew are just two more blind beggars, okay?
Yeah.
But this guy is called, we know this blind beggar by name, even who his father is. Why is this guy called by name? And why does Jesus respond? Okay, and here's why. Is because at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, which we're reading in Matthew, those two blind, they're saying Son of David. Remember, Jesus says, I don't want that title. I don't want you saying that right now. Just like the demons, shut up. But now, 2.5 years later, he's getting ready to go in Jerusalem. And so there's no more hiding anything. And so when they say to him, son of David, have mercy on me, he literally says, yes.
Yeah, that's me.
What do you want me to do for you?
Right. He's making his big entrance into Jerusalem.
Exactly. All the crowds are, that's like, that'd be like on Sunday morning, we're sitting out in front and Amelia is there and she's new Sunday morning. I don't know her. I'm just talking with her and I'm thinking, oh, this is a nice lady, and we're just having a good visit. And then Jack comes up and sits down. And he goes, oh, Mayor Earhart, how are you? And I go, what?
Yeah.
She's the mayor of Gardena?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You see, it's that kind of a thing. It's like, you know, Jesus, son of David. And the people are saying, shut up, shut up. And then Jesus says, no, no, no. What can I do for you? He's accepting the title.
Yeah.
You know,
Something has obviously changed in that time.
Yes. And some people think that's why he says it's Bartimaeus. That's why he's famous, because he's the first guy. He's the first guy out of the gate, when Jesus is getting ready to go into Jerusalem and for his triumphal entry. This is the guy who said to the world, this is the son of David, and it's time. And Jesus is saying, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's announcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he's named as opposed to anyone else. So interesting.
Yeah. And I think also it's interesting that it's like, you don't just have, this is not a quiet, reverent, religious moment. It also seems like Jesus is responding to his persistent, like, we're having a nice, holy, quiet, I think about when you have prayer time, it's kind of like church can be being in a library. Like, you're not loud and you don't do anything disruptive, and we have our inside voice, but this guy is upsetting the apple cart somehow. Yep. So, and he's like, and then they're trying to quiet him. He's like, no, I mean, I'm blind. I want this guy to heal me. I know who he is. And he just yells even more. And Jesus like, hey, let's take care of business. Like, we can't ignore this guy. Yeah. So I love the persistence, and Jesus responds to him.
And right outside in front of God and everyone.
It's like, this is not a solemn, but let's just take care of business. Get after this guy. I think that response to his tenacity, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So now moving on, we're going to go to Matthew chapter 12. Okay. This is us. All right. Matthew chapter 12 is us. This is what we are all prone to. This is what Jesus had to encounter. This is what Jesus had to deal with. Okay. In fact, Jack, you can read Matthew 12, 1 through 8.
Okay. This is Matthew 12, 1 through 8, right?
Yep.
At about that time, Jesus was walking through some grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry, so they began breaking off some heads of grain and eating them. But some Pharisees saw them do it and protested. Look, your disciples are breaking the law by harvesting grain on the Sabbath. Jesus said to them, haven't you read in the scriptures what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He went into the house of God, and he and his companions broke the law by eating the sacred loaves of bread that only the priests are allowed to eat. And haven't you read in the law of Moses that the priests on duty in the temple may work on the Sabbath? I tell you, there is one here who is even greater than the temple. But you would not have condemned my innocent disciples if you knew the meaning of this scripture. I want you to show mercy, not offer sacrifices. For the Son of Man is Lord even over the Sabbath.
Okay. All right. So Jesus and his disciples are going through the field. Okay. They're hungry. Yeah. And the guys are literally walking along. And I guess you do. I don't know how to do this. Farmers know this, I guess. In a wheat field, I don't know if anyone's ever done that. You can pull stalks of wheat or something and rub the grain and eat it. Anyone know that? I guess that's true, right? And that you can eat it.
I mean, it's obviously edible somehow because we make food out of it, but I don't know.
Yeah. And so.
Not a farmer.
I know, me neither. So I wouldn't eat it.
I think it's obvious that neither of us are farmers here at Scott.
So, so anyway, so the Pharisees see this, right? And they say, hey, don't you know that it's not lawful basically to work on the Sabbath? Yeah. You can't do this on the Sabbath. That's because this is considered work.
Violating the law, the Ten
Commandments. The Ten Commandments. God said to rest on the Sabbath and not work on the Sabbath. Okay? And so the Jews, and in bless their hearts, they tried to really make sure that they were never in any danger of breaking the law.
Playing it safe,
beyond safe. And so when God says, don't work on the Sabbath, then Jack says, okay, well, Jack and Scott sit there and go, well, what does he mean by don't work? Well, what about cutting wood for a fire on Saturday morning? No, that's work. We can't do that. Well, then if we cut it Friday night, can we bring it into the house? And we go, well, no, that's work because you're having to lift wood. Well, what if we only lift one piece of wood? Is that considered work? Well, how much do you think it should weigh? You see where I'm going with this?
What about striking the match?
Yeah, exactly. You know, work would be considered going out of town. And I read someplace that one of the they call it putting a hedge around the law, right? Adding different further levels out to make sure you don't get close to breaking that one. And so one of the things they said was you got to stay home on the Sabbath, because to go visit people in another city, for example, would be work. You have to walk, and
you could only travel a mile from your house.
Is that what it was? Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay, so they figured out that I know what I'll do, and so they would go to their front door. Now, I've read this. Someone may correct me. Maybe Durham will know if this is actually true or not. People study this, but they would take some dirt from their front door. They would put it in their pockets. They would go to the next town, to the guy's house they want to do business with. And before they would go in, they would put their dirt outside his front door, step on that, and then step into his house. Yeah. And that's how they figured they didn't break the law, because they were still on their land, going into his house.
They didn't go a mile away from their house.
Yeah, exactly.
A technical way to get around.
Right. And so that's the kind of thing that we've got here. This is legalism versus relationship versus legalism. Yeah. I want to tell you a story. I have a funny little story. That really.
Okay, it's 8:00, so I don't know where.
Oh, is it only okay?
It's only 8:00, just barely after 8. So
all right. So who have I got on the? Let's see. Sandra and Miriam, are you guys still there? You're going to be in my story.
If you don't want to be in the story, then just stay silent.
Okay. Well, if you're so okay, there was a father.
No.
There was a father who had 2 young daughters, Sandra and Miriam. Okay, and they're little girls, and dad is now in my story. Just a single dad. Okay, and he's got to go to work, and he's got to leave the girls home. Okay, they live on Sandra and Miriam and the father. They live on a very busy street, and so before he leaves, Sally's heard that story before. A lot of people have heard my little story, but I think it's a great story because it really captures what I'm talking about here. Yeah. And so dad says to the girls, he brings them into the living room and he says, girls, we live on a very busy street. And I know your friends across the street just got their new little bicycles, little pink little bicycles with the bells and go, and ring, ring and all that stuff. And I know you want to go over and play with them, but that is a very busy street. It's very dangerous for you to go into the street. And so I'm telling you right now, I'm going to work. I'm telling you, do not go across that street and play with those girls on their bikes. Do you girls understand? I don't want you putting one foot onto that street. Do you understand? And the girls and Sandra and Miriam go, yes, Dad. Yes, Dad. And Dad's coming across pretty harsh, not mad, but just, this is dangerous. And he's got to leave for work. And he's got to put the emphasis on this to these girls. Okay, so Dad leaves. Okay. So Sandra, being the good daughter that she is, okay, is going, man, Dad seemed really upset, didn't he, Miriam? And Miriam goes, no, I just think he was concerned. And no, he was really upset. He could be mad if we did something like that. So, I don't know about going outside, and Miriam says, well, let's go out in the front yard. It's got a fence around it. Yeah. Let's go out in the front yard and play. And Sandra says, no. I'm not going out in the front yard, because if Dad should come home suddenly and he sees me on the front yard, he might think, well, I'm getting ready to go across the street. So I'm not going outside today. I'm going to stay inside the house. And wait a minute. In fact, what am I doing with shoes on in the house? I'm taking my shoes off too, because if Dad comes home and sees me with shoes on, he's going to say, what are you doing with shoes on? Are you getting ready to go across the street and play with your friends? Yeah. I'm not going to wear shoes. Socks, I don't know. I'll have to figure that one out. And I'm not going to stand near the front door, because if I stand near the front door and Dad comes home, he's going to say, what are you doing standing next to the front door? Were you thinking of going across the street? You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, in fact, then Sandra says, wait a minute, this is getting all confusing. I need to get some paper and pencil, and I need to figure this out. I'll see you later. Yeah. And so she takes her pad and her pencil, and she's writing things as she goes into her bedroom, and she's writing down how many feet away from the front door could I be before Dad, I would be okay. Not Dad not seeing me. Yeah. Okay. And she's starting to think all these things through. And she goes into her room, closes the door, and she's there all day. Yeah. Working on that thing to make sure that she doesn't come anywhere near violating what dad said, or even him thinking that she might violate what he said. Now there's Miriam. Okay. Now Miriam is looking across the street at those two little friends of hers, and she's going, those are cool bikes. Those are cool bikes. How can I get over there?
How can I make this happen?
How can I make this happen? Wait a minute. Wait a second. And Miriam remembers there's some old living room carpet scraps out in the garage. So she goes out in the garage. She cuts two pieces of scrap about this big, 2 pieces. And she walks out to the front yard, walks out to the sidewalk, to the curb, puts one piece on the street, puts a foot on it, puts the other piece out, puts the other foot on it, picks the back one up, puts that forward, and just boom, 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 goes all the way across the street and plays all day with her friends with their bicycles.
Never put one foot on the street.
Didn't put a foot. So now dad's coming home about 4 or 5 o'clock. Dad's driving home. He happens to look across the street, and there's Miriam playing with her friends on their bikes. And dad goes, what in heaven's name? And he gets both girls into the house, and he says, what is going on? And Sandra comes out and says, Father, Sandra being the good daughter that she is, she says, Father, I want you to know that I was in the house all day long, and look what I have done. And she brings out this pad, a paper of a list of all these things she set up to make sure that he knew that she was never going to break his command of not doing that. And she says, Dad, look what I did. And Miriam didn't do it. Okay. Miriam didn't do it, Dad, but I did. And Dad's looking at her like, what on earth? And then he turns to Miriam and he says, I'll get back to you, Sandra, in a minute. Miriam, what were you doing? And Miriam goes, what? What did I tell you? And she says, well, Sandra copied your exact words, Dad. Sandra, what did Dad say? And she goes, Father, you said not to put one foot in the street. And Miriam goes, I didn't, Dad. I did exactly what you said. I didn't put one foot on that street. Yeah. Both girls have totally fallen off the horse. One fell off the horse on one side, one fell off the other. But they both were treating it legally.
Missed it completely.
Missed the whole point. Why did Dad tell them not to go across that street? It was a good reason to keep them safe from dying.
Yeah, from getting hit by a car.
Getting hit by a car. This was a good thing. And both of them just, Sandra, God bless Sandra, okay, made this huge list of rules and laws and all this kind of stuff. And she spent all day in her bedroom, didn't relate with her sister, no relationship. And she thinks she's better than Miriam now. Look what I did, Dad. And Miriam didn't.
Right. This is very pleasing to you, Dad.
Yeah, this should be very pleasing to you, Dad. All right. And so that story, I want to claim it for myself, but I think I heard it a long time ago from someone else. But anyway, that story captures what was going on, and particularly in this account. All right. So here we go. So they're going through the grain fields, and the Pharisees say, look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath. What law said that you can't pluck grain? This is their tradition. They added that. Yeah. This is not God. Yeah. This is not God's command. This is the traditions that the rabbis put on to put that little hedge around it. Well, plucking grains of wheat, we consider to be work, and so therefore that's against the law. So therefore you've broken the Sabbath. And Jesus is going, he's not having it. Jesus is not having it. Just like Dad comes home, right? I ain't having it.
So far from the intended purpose.
So far.
But you can't even tell.
Yeah. Have you not read now what Jesus is doing? So then so Jesus is going to go one up on him. He says, have you not read what David did when he was hungry and those who were with him, how he entered the house of God and ate the bread of the presence, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests? Jesus is saying, okay, listen, gentlemen, let me tell you what's really going on here. You made this silly little tradition to guard against breaking the law, but you don't even understand why the law was given. You don't even understand what the law was given the law, 10 commandments were not given as laws. They were given as weighty things. They weren't commands. They were good things. The God gave the 10 commandments as, here, these are good things for you.
Yeah.
Do these things and you'll have a much better life. You know, they're not called commands. They're called weighty things, important things for your life. Just like Dad says, don't go across the street. That's a really good thing to tell your kids.
They're not trying to spoil your fun. They're trying to show you how to have a rich and abundant and full life.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so what they did is they took it legally. And so Jesus,
life sucking, or then to be hypocritical and technical.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so what Jesus is doing is say, listen, I'm going to double down, you guys. You think your traditions are it. Let's go to the actual command of God. Let's go to one of the actual commands of God, which is don't eat the bread of the presence that was for the priests. After it's been in the altar, it comes to the side room, and then the priest can eat it. But only the priests, everyone else cannot eat it. Yeah. But here comes David, King David, their hero, right? And his men, and they're hungry. They weren't even starving to death. They were really, really hungry. And they go in there and they eat that bread. Okay. And now he's got them trapped, because he's saying to them, so if David can eat, now you guys agree with that's okay, right? That David could do that?
They're not going to condemn David.
You know, they're not going to. No. It's beautiful. Yeah. Jesus has got him. Yeah. He's waiting. You can almost imagine there's a little silence.
Like, yeah, we remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they knew that. Yeah.
Well, David. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, there was that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Jesus says, here's another one. Yeah. Okay. I'll take it even to absurdity. This is what happens when you take the law legally. The next one. Have you not read in the law how on the Sabbath the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are guiltless? See, it's the Sabbath. The priests, well, no, what do you do on the Sabbath? You don't work, right? Mm-hmm. That's the command. Don't work on the Sabbath. What are the priests doing all day on the Sabbath? They're butchering animals.
Right, they're working.
They're working their butts off.
Yeah.
They're butchering animals and stuff like that. So Jesus is saying, let's go right to the exact, that 10 commandment not working. Yeah. And even God said, God told him to break the very law that he gave him. Yeah. He says, don't work on the Sabbath, but the priests are to butcher the animals.
For this purpose.
Which is a direct violation of the law. Yeah. And so he's just showing them, you see, gentlemen, this doesn't work.
You missed the point.
You missed the point, and it doesn't work. Right. You know, it's like you keep the law and you screw up the law. You keep it and you don't keep it. Yeah. It's like it's the middle of winter and it's it's snowy and icy on the road, and I'm driving 65 miles an hour, and the policeman stops me and says, "What are you doing?" "What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm driving on the road." You know, there's snow on the ground, there's ice on the roads, and you're going 65. Yeah, I know, officer. I'm doing what the speed limit says. Yeah. I'm keeping the law, but the policeman would say, everyone knows what I'm saying. I don't even have to explain this, do I? Right, you see what happens when you take the law legally. There's a higher thing. You have to look at what it was for. And Jesus,
and you're ruining it. I mean, even just like the Sabbath, it's kind of akin to saying, you know what? Instead of working every day, take a day off and spend time with your family. Well, maybe you mow the lawn on that day with your son and you show him how to do it. Well, it's like, would you be condemned for that? No, because that's not the point. You're not being legalistic. You're saying, stop working out there and making money and spend time with your family. Exactly. The purpose of it is to create life and abundant life and to foster relationships.
Exactly.
And then if you would just condemn, like, what if the dad's showing his son how to do something, or the mom's, whatever it is, well, then that becomes a violation. Well, no, that's exactly what it's about. Exactly. So you're stopping the money making and the grueling labor and everything to turn and honor God and to be with your family. That's what the Sabbath is about, as opposed to a legalistic rule means you can't do anything. So like you said, miss the point. All the richness and the beauty of something like keeping the Sabbath is totally lost and just abused.
Exactly. And let me tell you, this is not far from our hearts, because we like the law. Come on now. Everyone admit it. Yeah. We like laws and rules. Laws and rules are clean. They have a beginning. When you've completed them, they're done. It's, relational things are sticky.
Clean.
They're not clean. They're open-ended. How do you know when God says, I command you to love one another? Well, how do I know when I've loved you enough?
Yeah.
how do I know how to look? I mean, this is all, it's not, we don't like this. This is uncomfortable. Tell me what to do. I'll do this, 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 and this, and this. And then I've done it, you know, and Jesus,
check.
Jesus is saying, you've missed it. If you are going to do that, then you've missed the whole, what God is all about. It's all about relationships and not laws. And in fact, Jesus finishes it. And he says, I tell you, something greater than the temple is here. Oops, himself.
Yeah.
And if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless, for the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. So right now, Jesus says, I'm greater than the temple and I'm Lord of the Sabbath.
Yeah.
So I'm going to now show you what you haven't figured it out. You've missed it. Now I'm going to show you how it's supposed to be, and I have the authority to do that. You know, that's what this whole thing is about. And then we move right into the next. It's no mistake or no, what do you call it? Guess that Matthew would put this very next story here.
Yeah,
Okay?
just taking a beautiful thing from God, like the Sabbath, and just ruining it by using it as a way to condemn other people and to be legalistic and ruin fun and life and look down on other people. It's great. Yeah, this great gift that God is saying.
Exactly. For the Sabbath.
It.
The Pharisees would be the Sabbath police.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sabbath
a
police.
father is working. He doesn't have to work his job. He's not working the fields.
Yeah.
His animals are resting. That's one of the reasons why God said to rest on the Sabbath. For your burdens of beast have to rest. You'll kill your animals off. Let them rest. And so if Jack is showing his son how to do something, and the Sabbath police come by and say, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Instead of like, I'm doing exactly what I should be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great. Good.
And now we're moving on.
Yeah.
But now it gets really hypocritical.
Yeah.
Okay. Read on 9 through 14.
Then Jesus went over to their synagogue, where he noticed a man with a deformed hand. The Pharisees asked Jesus, does the law permit a person to work by healing on the Sabbath? They were hoping it would say yes, so they could bring charges against him. And he answered, if you had a sheep that fell into the well on the Sabbath, wouldn't you pull it out and work? Of course you would. And how much more valuable is a person than a sheep? Yes, the law permits a person to do good on the Sabbath. Then he said to the man, hold out your hand. So the man held out his hand, and it was restored, just like the other one. And the Pharisees called a meeting to plot how to kill Jesus.
Okay.
They didn't like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So now he goes into a synagogue. By the way, the guy with the withered hand has not come to Jesus and said, please heal me. He's just in. It's interesting. He doesn't ask. He's just in there, you know, and Jesus comes in. It's the Pharisees who instigate this whole thing. And they say to Jesus, you know, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? I mean, they know that Jesus can see the guy. Yeah. They see the guy. Yeah. And so they're trying to prompt him, you know, and they're trying to get Jesus to say that it's okay to heal on the Sabbath. And the point is, it is okay to heal on the Sabbath. I don't think there's any law, the 10 Commandments or something that God says you can't heal on the Sabbath, because no one could heal before. Right. So there's no law against that. Yeah. You know, Jesus is the first guy to do that. Yeah. But anyway, but again, they've decided that would be wrong. Except no work on the Sabbath, except when you got a sheep that falls into a ditch. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then somehow we can overlook you're going to have to take a credible amount of effort and probably get 2 or 3 of your friends to pull some heavy burden of beast out of the ditch. Right. Why are you going to do that? Because that's money on the hoof. That's what that is. Okay. So much for keeping the Sabbath. When it comes down to my pocketbook, I'm going to not do the Sabbath. And Jesus is exposing that hypocrisy right there. You know, so he says, oh, so you can do that? Well, then of course it's good. Hey, brother, stand up, you know, and heals him right on the spot. You know, I love it, you know. And then notice that when it ends. And so what do the Pharisees do? They went out and took counsel against him, how to destroy him. And they're doing this on the Sabbath. The Sabbath. Yeah. Yeah. The Pharisees, you know, and they can't tell. This is the day, the day of rest, the day that God said to, you know, this is the holy day, the Sabbath. Keep it whole. And they're going out plotting how to kill one of their Jewish brothers. Right. On the Sabbath. On the Sabbath. On the Sabbath.
They're being the Sabbath police, ruining the Sabbath, ruining the gift that God has given to people of that time.
Yep.
and plotting against the very God who created this beautiful thing like the Sabbath. I mean, you just can't get more drenched in irony than that.
Yeah.
And how far, I mean, I think also, just like you said, how far you can get from God's purposes, even with, it's not, you know, we always say, oh, it's good motivation or a good heart. They probably did have one. You can get way far from it if you're not careful. And that's just a good lesson if you just want to be so judgmental and so self-righteous. You know, you can get to bad places real quick.
Yeah, exactly. And I just lost the thought.
Sorry.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
No.
Now, and we got about what, 6 to 7 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, almost done. Yeah.
I'm going to try to get to this one. This is really important. This is dealing with a thing called the unforgivable sin.
Right.
You know, all down. If you've been in the church most of your life, or been around Christians long enough, they're always going to talk about that. Jesus says there's a sin that is unforgivable.
Yeah.
And so most people think in America, maybe not in Myanmar, but in America, it's always something sexual. You know, sex rules America. And so something in your past you did sexually wrong or something like that. And so you think that is so heinous, so terrible, so wrong that is the unforgivable sin.
Yeah.
And I know a guy who had to go on get on psychiatric drugs and stuff years and years ago because he thought he had committed the unforgivable sin and he was going to hell. And he could
never be pardoned.
Could never be pardoned. Yeah. He's doomed to hell, and he couldn't live with it. And
preoccupation with sort of the carnal or something.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that thing right now and put that to rest for everyone who's ever watching this and thinks what I've done in my life. No one knows this terrible thing that I've done in my past, and it probably is horrible. You think that's the unforgivable sin? It's not. And here we go. So Jack, this is a long section.
The Unforgivable Sin in 7 minutes by Scott Cho. So, okay.
22 to 37.
Okay. So.
And then Matthew chapter.
This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 22 to the end?
Yep, 37.
Okay. Then a demon-possessed man who was blind and couldn't speak was brought to Jesus. He healed the man so that he could both speak and see. The crowd was amazed and asked, could it be that Jesus is the son of David, the Messiah? But when the Pharisees heard about the miracle, they said, no wonder he can cast out demons. He gets power from Satan, the prince of demons. Jesus knew their thoughts and replied, any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. A town or family splintered by feud will fall apart. And if Satan is casting out Satan, he is divided and fighting against himself. His own kingdom will not survive. And if I am empowered by Satan, what about your own exorcists? They cast out demons too, so they will condemn you for what you have said. But if I am casting out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has arrived among you. For who is powerful enough to enter the house of a strong man and plunder his goods? Only someone even stronger, someone who could tie him up and then plunder his house. Anyone who isn't with me opposes me, and anyone who isn't working with me is actually working against me. So I tell you, every sin and blasphemy can be forgiven, except blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which will never be forgiven. Anyone who speaks against the Son of Man can be forgiven, but anyone who speaks against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven, either in this world or in the world to come.
You better stop. You can just stop right there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the context of this, because Jesus has said a pretty dramatic statement. You know, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven. Right. He says it again. And whoever says a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but whoever speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven. Okay, what is the context of this situation? Jesus has just done, he's healed a blind and dumb demoniac, okay? Which is incredibly a wonderful, loving thing to do. And what do the Pharisees say? They say, oh, the reason he can do this is because he's in league with the devil, with Beelzebul, the Lord of the Flies, you know, Beelzebul. And so they know that this is not, they know he's not in league with the devil, all right? And so then Jesus, well, first of all, Jesus then exposes it, and he says, you guys are idiots. In fact, it could be the case that whoever the guy was who said that, you can imagine the rest of the guys saying, what are you, an idiot? Don't say that. You know, if you're in league with the devil, because then Jesus exposes it right there. He says, well, if the devil casting out demons, well, no, the devil let's get this straight. Satan puts demons into people. He doesn't cast demons out of people.
Right.
You guys you got it wrong there, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You know, and probably a bunch of the Pharisees, when that one guy said that, they're probably looking at him like, you idiot. Why would you? But anyway, okay. So, but the reason they're doing that, they have no other recourse, because Jesus is doing these mighty miracles in front of the people.
Right.
The people are saying, surely God is with him. Only God could do these. Only someone who God is with could do this. He's the Messiah. I mean, they are seeing more and more clearly who Jesus is. He is a threat to these Pharisees, and they have no other recourse except now to say this type of thing against him. They know, okay? And here's the situation. The unforgivable sin, oh, by the way, he says, if people say you can speak against the Son of Man, right? We know that people mock Jesus. They ridiculed him. They did all kinds of things against him. And he's going, you can do that. That's okay. But this thing, what you're doing here, gentlemen, this is it, because this is treachery. And what he's telling them is, you know that this is of God. And you are deliberately telling people this is not of God. This is the work of Satan. Right. Okay. That you are getting to the place. This is a warning to the Pharisees. You can get to a place where you have hardened your heart. You are so far from God that you are unforgivable. Now, did you get that? It's not that you're unforgivable, not from God, but from yourself. You are so far that God can't forgive you. God can't reach you. You've become unforgivable. It's not that God says, that's it, Jack. Yeah. You know, you did some treachery, so go to hell, and that's it. No, God is saying, gentlemen, you can get to the place where you are eagerly participating in treachery, knowing that the very things of God, you're telling people to turn people away from the things of God. Yeah. And attributing it to the devil. And you know that's not true. That is treachery, and that is betraying your heart. This is who you are. You are unforgivable. You know, you've sealed yourself off. Can everyone get that? It's not from God's end, it's our end. We are unforgivable. Yeah. And it's really important to hear that, because Jesus can forgive. Obviously he forgave everything. You know, sins are forgiven. But if you're not going to take it, if you just say, I don't want it, you know, I have nothing to do with you, that you do good things, and I'm going to tell everyone that's horrible what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more than, like you said, it's not a mistake. It's not as if they saw Jesus doing something and they thought it was demonic. They, of all people, had known and read the scriptures, and they knew Jesus could only do something like this only by the power of God. Exactly. And they were very sure that he was probably the Son of God. But it's like, to me, the analogy would work like Amelia is a nurse, you know, and we'll just use the vaccination that's come out recently. So let's say she's a nurse, and she says, you know, this new COVID vaccine, it's no good. It can't help you. Don't get it. I don't. It's just a sham, right? It's just somebody's trying to make money. So she, as a nurse, she says that. Well, then what happens is, so she has now invested her own pride and her reputation and her professionalism in this, in her opinion, right? And then what happens is she gets the report from the doctors, and she gets all the research, and it says, in fact, the vaccine actually will save your life. So what does she do with that? Well, before she made a mistake, but now when the mistake has been revealed to her, then if she says, you know what, Scott, don't get the vaccine. In fact, it's going to poison you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
good
this
analogy.
Vaccine is poison. Then she is never fit to be a nurse again, because now her pride and her self-righteousness has made her incapable of even, and that's the dark place that she's in, right? So now what you know to be good is now you're calling evil or harmful deliberately. It's very different. Now, before, she just made a mistake,
right?
And that's, I think the analogy works in that sense.
Love it.
And you would just say,
I love it. Exactly.
Those are very, very, very different things. Make a mistake, like you said, deliberate treachery, and calling what you know is life-saving. No, you say, no, if you take it, it's poison, it'll kill you. That is
evil.
Like,
that's evil.
Yeah, that's evil. And especially when it comes to terms of, this is Jesus is life or death. That's what he's claiming to do. So now you have a person that no, Jesus is the life, the light of the world, but they're going to call him death and darkness and demons, and they're not making a mistake. They're doing this on purpose. That is something that's so far from God. You have put yourself in a place where you know.
And this is a warning.
And that's a blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. And that
exactly that's what blaspheming the Holy exactly.
Yeah.
That is blaspheming the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
There's no one sin that you get. This is relational stuff. You know, it's who are you? Who are you becoming?
It's so good.
You know, that you have become, God can't reach you. And he's telling these Pharisees, gentlemen, you can get there. And that's a warning to all of us.
Death. Yeah, you're calling life death and you're not making a mistake.
Yeah.
Deliberate betrayal.
You're hardening your heart. You're hardening your heart. You're getting so far away from God that you're going to become unforgivable.
You're supposed to be the people leading people to God.
Yeah.
But instead you're saying it's demonic. Just like Amelia, you're the nurse. You're supposed to be life-saving, but you're actually telling people something you know that will save their life is going to kill them. That's it.
Yep.
Sorry, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we'll end there. And so if anyone's ever thought that, I hope this was freeing to you. If you don't agree with me, you can certainly go to the scriptures and check it out yourself. But I hope you listen to this, because a lot of people have lived in the tyranny that the things they've done. Oh my God, you don't know the things I've done, and that's not it. This is it, and this is. We all know what this is.
Yeah,
we all know what this is. So
good.
Okay, so we'll end. It's already 8:35. We should stop. So we'll stop.
Great to see everybody. If you're around Sunday morning, we'll have our outdoor Bible study time, just being together. So otherwise, thanks everybody for hanging out. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to, jump in or anything, let us know. And then we're available now or at another time too to pursue anything.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, it's
and
great,
if you have questions, I mean, write them down, or my wife will give you my email if you don't already have it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to end here. If you disagree with me, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
If you disagree or you have something to add, please.
Yeah, you may not. Sometimes it's hard. We have 12, 15 people in here. It's hard to get a word in, or it's an intimidating atmosphere. But if you want to do that one-on-one, of course, we're available to do that as well. So
Sandra and Miriam, thank you for being in my story.
Yeah.
You didn't have any choice, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Miriam, you're such a sneak.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's when we were younger.
I know it does, actually.
See, you didn't even know.
Yeah.
And Amelia was in my story, so she's blaspheming the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, way to go, Amelia.
So she's probably not going to come on Sunday. So,
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Beef, good luck with the quarantine. Hope you feel better. And then Deeram, you're in our prayers.
Keep us posted, man.
Keep us posted. I think he's frozen. He might have run out of time anyway. So yeah, he's gone. So.
Okay.
And I don't know who Sunshine is. I don't know if that's Pastor Sandra or not, but I think it came in there. So
who's Sunshine?
It's me, Jeremiah.
Oh, hey, Jeremiah.
Hey, guys.
That's what I thought. Great to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, great.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finished dinner at our house around like 7:15, so I'm gonna try to join weekly. I'll be a little bit late every week, but yeah, I'm glad to be a part of the conversation.
Good. Thank you for joining.
Good.
And yeah, Scott, the analogy about the two kids like crossing the busy street, I remember you sharing that in our Matthews study. And
I love it.
It captures it.
It does capture it. Mm-hmm. I would love to take credit for the story, but I think I heard it from someone else a long time ago, and I just used it all so long. So